Well, good morning, folks. Welcome back to the farm. I say it's a good morning, but in fact, today is actually probably one of the hardest days on the farm that we've had yet. And the reason for that is that it's time to say goodbye to my old buddy here. When we started doing these YouTube videos, it was we made the commitment, I guess, to give you the good and the bad, and none of the the Instagram culture where everything's positive, everything's fantastic. Little Miko here, he's God knows how old, and the kitty cat's bugging him down here. So that's one reason. I mean, he's pretty old and cantankerous. He's completely blind. He's mostly deaf. You know, we go outside with him, and if any one of the other dogs runs into his periphery or the cat's, he lacks those senses. So when something brushes up against him, he does what a dog is going to do and tries to defend himself, and can be a little bit volatile. Now, of course, Charlotte's at a very young age, and we just can't have that. And that's not the reason why. That's not the reason why at all. We've actually talked about this for a couple of years. You know, he came to us in 2013 as a stray. Actually, we lived in town in Beaver Lodge, and he was over by the egg grounds over there, and just showed up. No idea where he came from. It was extensive effort to try and find his owners, to no avail. We took him out to the in-laws' place, see if he could, live out his days on the farm there. And he was a little bit naughty, so that wasn't working. So he came to live with us in town, and we had a pretty big backyard, but it still wasn't really super fair for a working dog like this to live in town. So in 2017 we moved out here, and this was talk about living the dream for a dog like this. You just absolutely, in his younger days when he was in better condition, loved to play fetch. And he could outrun your arm any day of the week. Your arm would just literally be falling off from throwing the ball so many times, and he'd still have gas in the tank, but now not so much, unfortunately. So all in all, he's been the best dog. He's been through some rough times. I know when the neighbors down the road were building their house, he went for a wander one day, and he actually fell into their basement because their house was partway through construction. I thought he was going to die then, and he didn't. He pulled through, and then he fell off of our front steps here last year and tore his groin, something terrible. So we had to rush him to the vet, and he made her through that one as well. He didn't bleed to death. Earlier this year, he got ran over by the neighbors side by side. Somehow he toughed his way through that one. But we can see definitely now, he's blind, he's deaf, he's arthritic, and he's basically sleeping in the shop here at nights, especially during the winter time. And he just struggles. He really struggles. You can tell. And we made the commitment early on. Okay, well, he's blind and deaf, but what does that really do for his quality of life? And if he's still happy and he's still comfortable, well, we're going to let him live out his days. But you can see that's come to its extent now, and he's not comfortable anymore. And I would say he is at a point where borderline. I wouldn't say suffering yet, but it's close, right? And when we get deep into winter here, that's going to be more and more prevalent. And so, like I said, we've had this conversation now for some time, Carmen and I, and how this is going to play out. And I made the decision I'm going to do this myself. And that's not a decision I take lightly by any means. It's not one that's made easily either. When you take your best friend that you spent years and years and years with, and has really been very loyal, that's a super hard decision to make, and it's one that's made out of love and respect, honestly. you know, I couldn't look across the table at my brother-in-law at Christmas dinner if I knew I had him do this. And I owe it to the dog not to just, you know, take him to the vet's office and lay him on a stainless steel table and inject him full of chemicals. So we're gonna make sure his last day here is a damn good one. We let him sleep in the house last night. We very rarely do that. So we got to have the run of the house here. Last night we cooked him up some pig heart, some pig tongue. He had quite the feast. This morning it's all just about, you know, lavishing him with attention, making sure he knows he's loved. After lunch here, we're gonna go for a walk. And then when it's done, we're gonna take him to a place just outside Beaver Lodge there, and we'll have him cremated and we'll bring him back to the farm. So I just dropped Miko off here at the Willow Rock Pet Cemetery, and well, I knew it was gonna be hard, but it's well, it's tough. I mean, yeah, it's a rough day on the farm. So we're gonna go home, get a little miss some lunch, feed some sheep, carry on with the day. At least the old boy's not gonna suffer anymore.